Well, the latest drought monitor is in and it shows more bad news for Minnesota's worsening drought, and we've got that heat wave on the way, possibly a record-breaking one that will only worsen things, little rain in sight. So the drought monitor, not surprisingly, has gotten worse here over the last week thanks to last week's heat wave and pretty much very little rain to speak of. This was last week's drought monitor, and this is this week's. You can see severe drought filling back in across the Twin Cities after we had gotten rid of it, and now extreme drought really expanding in southeastern Minnesota and also a big swath of north central Minnesota. Extreme drought increased from 2% last week to now 10% of the state, and this is largely why. Not much rain, very localized pockets of anything really measurable. We're still in that time of year where you need an inch of rain per week on average just to stay even. Every week we have less than an inch, we grow our deficits, and that's what most of us did. And then over the next several days, this is the forecast through Tuesday, pretty much nothing as far as rainfall goes. And we've got more heat on the way combined with that lack of rainfall, which will make things worse. We've seen 27 days in the 90s so far. We've got 3 to 5 more ahead this weekend. Could be the most this year since 1988. If we get past 31, that will beat any recent years. 1988 is the record most, 44 days in the 90s that year. And this September heat wave is even more rare than the heat wave we had last week. We don't get many 90s typically in September. This could be the most consecutive since 1978, which is the record. 7 consecutive they had that year. And even if we only have 5, it's only happened 3 other times in the month of September in our 150-year record. So this is definitely a very rare late season September heat wave. The heat dome had retreated to the southwest last week. It's now expanding back north and eastward. So we're going to see above normal temperatures by about 20 degrees. So keep in mind, normal high is about 77. We're going to be 15 to 20 degrees above that with the center of the heat dome just to our south here over the weekend. And what's almost more remarkable than any of the specific temperatures is that we're going to look at this 5-day consecutive stretch that just is remarkably rare for this time of year. On the edge of it, though, we do have a line of some showers that developed in the Dakotas. Those are going to try to move across north central Minnesota. That's really the only rain of the next several days. And consider yourself lucky in northern Minnesota if you see some of those very isolated showers. Otherwise, pretty windy today as that warm air blows back in. Today won't be hot yet, but it will be warmer, back above normal, low 80s. But the big thing will be the wind, especially western Minnesota, 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. Closer to 25, 30 mile per hour gusts here in the eastern part of the state, but definitely windier than what we've seen the last couple of days. Low 80s today, normal high again, upper 70s, so that's above normal, but starting to heat up, mid to upper 80s in west central Minnesota. And then here we go Friday, possibly our first of several days of 90-degree temperatures. I think we'll be right around 90 in the Twin Cities, better chance of being into the 90s out west. Saturday, widespread 90s across central and southern Minnesota. Still in the 80s in northeastern Minnesota, but even there it's getting pretty warm. And I did want to make a note about some of the forecasts you're seeing and why I still think triple digits is very hard to do. We've only done that once in September. That was in the Dust Bowl years. The blend or model average is skewed a bit by the GFS model, which has been astronomically bad this summer. It has some soil moisture problems. This is an example. It's forecasting 102 to 110 degree temperatures. Yeah, that's not happening. And so those numbers are partly skewing some of the averages that go into the forecast. So that's why I think we're still looking at upper 90s, still near or record breaking this weekend, but I don't think we're going to hit 100. The other good thing, we've been talking about that this week, we're not going to see those crazy dew points we had last week. Dew points more like the 60s versus the 70s to near 80-degree dew points. But either way you look at it, definitely hot. Could be our hottest Labor Day on record, or certainly one of the hottest. The hottest we've ever been on Labor Day was 97 degrees, and we're going to be very close to that. It does break a bit next week, but we're still looking at above normal temperatures all week long next week.